Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you very much for being here. Hey, Brish. Brish, welcome aboard, Brish. He says, hey, all, include our super tired, non-stop working host. We appreciate you, but damn, brother, get some sleep. I got me 4.5 hours last night. I was like super happy. You know what? I think I went and started lifting weights at about 2:30 in the morning while I was watching this stuff on Alaska, this thing, and it was great, great, great. And I got 4 hours and a half of sleep and got right back busy, my dear friends. All right, the article regarding the pollinators and flowers bought a big box store was frightening. Never knew that. Yes, yes, yes. Bees are important. Anyhow, folks, let's see. E2247, today around the globe, people are holding actions at branch offices and headquarters of the bank's funding line number 3. Line number 3 is being built through indigenous territory without consent. Defund line number 3. I hear you, brother. I hear you, brother. The article regarding the pollinator. Okay, I got that one already. Okay, welcome aboard, Nanette Bird Smith. Welcome to the program. Paul Fleming, ATL, checking in on time. Hey, ATL, Paul, thank you for being here, brother. And of course, we have our researcher, Michael Rudnin. After an all-night session, the Texas State House passed a GOP-backed measure that would bar public officials from sending out mail-in ballot separations without prior requests for them and implement strict rules on the number of voting machines at polling places in major cities. The state Senate has approved a separate measure that also limits early voting rules and bans drive-through voting. Republicans' attempts at voter suppression around the nation keeps demonstrating that they are anti-democracy. They seem to think their lives would be better if some people just weren't allowed to vote at all. I'm right here in Texas. I'm living through it. Representative John Rosenthal, you guys saw that I had him on the show last week. He was on the floor up until 3 in the morning fighting the good fight, getting the amendments in, etc., etc. Good friend of mine. I don't know. We're going to court. Put it bluntly, we're going to court. Republicans are not in disarray. They are united in their assault on American democracy. The narrative of a Republican civil war, or as exemplified by the predicament of Romney and Cheney, is yet another reflection of the mainstream media's obsession with finding reasonable Republicans to valorize. There is a hell of a lot more to that statement. In fact, on Daily Kos today, a guy said he wished we were stop being so superficial. Remember who Liz Cheney is. And then he said, start reading Juan Cole. Juan Cole. Go to his website. I think it's juancole.com and check it out. But anyway, you can find the teaser article at Daily Kos. New York AG reveals telecom giants fund secret campaign to flood FCC with fake net neutrality comments. Corporations are willing to act criminally if it will make them a buck, and they know they won't be prosecuted for felony charges. Yeah, remember also, the corporation is an independent person. It has its own self-being. I was on the board of directors of Move to Amend, and that is what we were fighting, the 28th Amendment, to make sure that corporations aren't people and money isn't speech. I think I told you guys about the documentary that we made then, where I was an executive producer, Legalized Democracy. Check that out on my website, egbertowillis.com, Legalized Democracy. I'll try to find it for you. NASA measures direct evidence humans are causing climate change, necessary to debunk what few climate deniers, and they start to get work in resolving the existential threat. Amazing. The Amazon is almost fully saturated and could flip to emitting carbon in 15 years. Wow, I hadn't read that one. I mean, as far as, man, that's not good. We need a sink. When this happens, it's the beginning of the end. In the Amazon, the forest carbon sink capacity is predicted to reach 0 by 2035. Ouch. We need carbon sinks in galore, including doing our own in the United States and maybe reforesting the Grand Sahara. Who knows? I remember what I was talking about, desalination and all that kind of stuff. We may need to go ahead and start putting water into the Sahara and try to create its own ecosystem by growing. Anyway, new report highlights. Hey, Michael, how much stuff did you put today? New UN reports highlights absolute critical needed dramatically slash fund methane emissions. Wait, new UN report highlights absolutely critical need to dramatically slash global methane emissions. Methane emissions primarily come from three major sources: fracking, beef agriculture, and melting permafrost. That melting permafrost is more dangerous than people believe because there's a whole lot of stuff that's in those interstitials in that ice that's going to be released. We can do something about two out of those three. Actually, we can do something out of all. But I think you probably mean that the permafrost is not much that we can do right off the bat. Climate change is not a subjective thing. The rest of the world have figured out that global warming is an existential threat. Yet it is on U.S. to lead the world through what would be the end of our civilization if we don't act properly and soon. I share your concern. I promise you I share your concern. All right, Julie Van Astel, welcome aboard. E2247, I think I saluted you. Red Lake Nation, Wild Earth Nation, and Mal Lax Band of Ojibwe are all suing to stop Line 3. Thank you, brother. Jessica Taylor, Feliz Dia del Viernes. Feliz Viernes, that is Happy Friday. Protect E2247, protect sovereignty while moving forward in order to maintain the traditions of the past. I got to think about that. I got to think about that because how past are we talking about? Not a time. All right, let's see what we got here. Egberto, Liz Cheney voted with Trump over 90% of the time. Exactly. And the girl that's taking over, or the woman, sorry. The woman that takes taking her position is only at 70% or something like that. Michael Rudden said, Egberto, the 28th Amendment, mind putting this on the screen. Let's see what that is. That is my group. That is actually the group that I was a member of. Move to Amend. Actually great. It's led by Caitlin Sopoki Beltnack. Wonderful woman that leads that group. She's the chairperson of the group. And we've been marching around. We had some big things in D.C. where we had symposiums and trainings and all of that to get that amendment out there. Let me put it on the screen for folks. That's my buddy, Lean. He's a good guy. Know them both. Anyhow, let's continue. Defund the Line 3, San Francisco. Thank you, brother. Michael Egberto, save 7 items today. Was that too much? Michael, look, if like I say, all you guys, if you're putting something there, imagine it's something you think is important. If I just can't get to it, I won't get to it. But I mean, I got to it today. I have 4 videos I got to show you guys. Important videos, actually. All right, let's see. Bridge MCP. And the short answer is, look, you guys own the show. Throw things at me. Whatever I get to, I get to. Whatever I don't, I don't. Tom C., my brother and good supporter. Based on excess deaths, U.S. COVID death toll is actually 900,000, not 585. World COVID death toll is 6.9 million, not 3.2. I've been saying that for a long time, but I had no evidence for that. Put your link if you have one there, Brother Tom. E2247 says lunch with, let's see, I'm going to miss that one. Too many hieroglyphics. I'll talk about that a little later, E227. Let's see, Linda Joe Kessinger, welcome aboard. Okay, look, title of the show today is, let me pull it up. It's a good show. It's a good show because it's y'all's show. All right, Ruhle, want workers, then pay them. Biden out swinging on the jobs report. Tur slams U.S. family leave. And let's go ahead and get started with Sister Tur. You have to admire a TV host. One who admits her good fortune. One who admits that most Americans do not have the opportunity for what she is about to do. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I hope to make it to the end of this week, but in the interest of not having this baby on live television, it is time for me to take a break. So this show, or the 2 p.m. show, and all of you out there are like a family, so don't worry. We're going to share the good news once it comes. I also want to reiterate, though, how incredibly lucky I am to get this time off, paid for by my company, to both be with my baby and to recover myself. I'm heartened to know that in the 2 years since I came back from my last maternity leave, federal employees now have 12 weeks of paid time off. That's great news. But it is still unbelievable that the same does not apply for every single person in this country, parents and caregivers alike, everyone. You hear people say the United States is the only rich nation or the only industrialized nation that doesn't offer anything, at the very least, to new mothers. But it is even worse than that. Look at this map right here. The ones in yellow are the ones without any paid leave at all. That's New Guinea, Suriname, a few South Pacific Island nations, and the United States. The majority of Americans agree, as do bipartisan lawmakers, that we can do a lot better than this. And hopefully we will have by the time I am back.
But guess what? America, we are the exceptional country. The country where most parents don't get the opportunity to have paid leave, paid family leave, when our most precious resource comes into life. Who stops this? The party of family values no family. The party of family values just values capital. You try to do something positive for society, something positive for parents, something to allow parents to work, something to allow parents to nurture their kids. We can't afford it. But we can afford tax cut scams that we give to those who neither earned it, deserve it, or should warrant it. That is why, going forward, we have to ensure that the politicians in power right now use that power to do what is necessary to make sure that the middle class and the poor are made whole. After all, they are the ones who have made this country. They are the ones on whose back the wealthy are currently spending. Michael Rudnin just asked the most important question. What's the capitalist class good for? Telling the labor class to hurry their work. You have another let's see what this one is. What is this one? Let's see what that one says, Rudnin, before I put it on the screen. What did you letting the cat out of the bag, anonymous? Am I going to have to 1937? That looks like something worth reading. According to Rudnin, here we go. Letting the cat out of the bag. What did you tell the man just now? I told him to hurry. What right do you have to tell him to hurry? I pay him to hurry. How much do you pay him? $4 a day. Where do you get the money? I sell products. Who makes the products? He does. How many products does he make a day? $10 worth. Then instead of you paying him, he pays you $6 a day to stand around and tell him to hurry. Well, but I own the machines. How did you get the machines? Sold the products and bought them. Who made the products? Shut up. He might hear you. Yeah, wow, folks, did you? That is, Michael, thank you for finding that. That's a show on its own. But that is what we constantly say on this show. This is what many people around this country have been trying to inculcate into people's minds, right? That the capitalist class are parasites. A parasite is what sucks out the life of something that provides nutrition, that provides value, right? So when Bezos is worth $160 billion, and we worship Bezos. Oh, he is such a great capitalist. He's a millionaire. Look. I want everybody listening to me right now. When this show is over, don't do it during the show. I want you to keep listening so that we can all talk together. When this show is over, go to the first mirror you can find and look in that mirror and remember who is looking back at you. The person that makes America run. The person that have created those multimillionaires, those multibillionaires, the person that is deserving of much more than they have. I'm assuming you don't have more than $10 million, okay? Just assuming. In my new book, I have a chapter. Is it in a new book or is it in the in It's Worth It? I think it's in a new book. Ascertain your worth. Ascertain your worth. We have to teach all of you know it. All of us together here, we know it. But we have to start what Michael Rudnin just put on the screen. I mean, I like the way he put it, right? Because it's funny. Because I come out there and I say, well, folks, if you take a look at the marginal rates of products, when you look at what he takes, the cut that he takes is really your excess labor, and that's what makes him rich. That's all true. But it sounds kind of, elitist kind of a way. Sometimes some of us have a tendency to talk, right? That's not what I'm trying to, I'm not trying to say that. I'm trying to say we need to know the technical way to say it. What that paper just says is that that boss who's hurrying up his person to work, his income comes from the excess labor or the labor not paid to the person who is doing the work. And people say, "Oh well, he had the idea." Okay, a lot of people have good ideas that they can't implement. Let me give an example. There's a piece of hardware that I designed, hardware, electronics. Now I'm a mechanical engineer and a software programmer. Okay, software engineer. I designed this board. Guess what? I had to go to Jerry Pace to build it. I couldn't do it. I didn't know how to lay out the integrated circuits. I didn't know how to do the traces. He went ahead and he put it together, and I said, does it do this? Is the interrupt going to go there so I can program that interrupt? Yeah. So when we started to sell the card, I remember he was willing to like, hey man, you can, it's okay for me to get 20%. I'm like, man, are you crazy? This is a half and half thing. I came up with the design. You are the one who put the design into action. How the hell am I going to say somehow I could not have built this board without you? I could not have possibly done it without you. And that is what we have to put into everybody's heart, everybody's mind, not to allow the plutocrats to tell them otherwise. Because the plutocrats tell people otherwise. We are the ones who know. We are rich and deserving. The founding fathers were rich and deserving. They deserve to take the land that they came and they conquered. They deserve, that's what they think. It is up to us to assert our worth. It is up to us to assert our worth. Michael, I simply love that. To put it bluntly, brother, I think that's the best one you've ever given to us, because this is more in line with everything we talk about on this program. So thank you so kindly. Let's go to the other video. The other video, I'm going to do Stephanie Ruhle first. I was going to do Biden first, but Biden is a bit longer, and no, I'll do the Biden because I want it in that order, and then we'll take Stephanie Ruhle after that. Check this out because this is important. It has to do with the jobs report today. And what I was very impressed with is that Biden came out right away before everybody was able to create a narrative. He went ahead and put his narrative out there, which is very important. Check this out. I like what President Joe Biden is doing. He's not allowing the false narrative to get ahead of him. As soon as he detects a problem, he's out there knocking it. Right now, we had the jobs report that came out today. 266,000 people got employment. Of course, people were expecting about 1 million or so to get employment, and that was not realized. And a lot of people say, "Oh, is it stalling? Are the policies from what he's doing creating a hindrance to employment?" Is giving those stipends to people as they recover the $300 a month that is equivalent to $15 a month, the wrong thing and causing people not to go out there and look for a job. I want you to listen to what Joe Biden had to say, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I want to put today's jobs report in perspective. And look, when we came to office, we knew we were facing a once-in-a-century pandemic and a once-in-a-generation economic crisis. And we knew this wouldn't be a sprint, it'd be a marathon. Quite frankly, we're moving more rapidly than I thought we would. This morning we learned that our economy created 266,000 jobs in April. It hadn't been adjusted again yet, but that's what it says, 266. And listening to commentators today, as I was getting dressed, you might think that we should be disappointed. But when we passed the American Rescue Plan, I want to remind everybody, it was designed to help us over the course of a year, not 60 days, a year. We never thought that after the first 50 or 60 days, everything would be fine. Today, there's more evidence that our economy is moving in the right direction. But it's clear we have a long way to go. All told, our economy has added more than 1,500,000 new jobs since I took office. That's the most number of jobs created in the first 3 months of any presidency in our history. Just for perspective, in these 3 months before I got here, the economy added about 60,000 jobs a month, not 500,000. In the 3 months since I've been here, the economy has added 500,000 jobs per month. And this is progress. And it's a testament to our new strategy of growing this economy from the bottom up and the middle out. And it's a clear testament to why it's so needed. Some critics said that we didn't need the American Rescue Plan, that this economy would just heal itself. Today's report just underscores, in my view, how vital the actions we're taking are. Our efforts are starting to work, but the climb is steep, and we still have a long way to go. Today's report also puts some truth to some loose talk that we've been hearing about the economy lately. First, that we should stop helping workers and families out for fear of overheating the economy. This report reinforces the real truth. For years, working people and middle-class people, the people who built this country, have been left out in the cold, struggling just to keep their heads above water. While those at the top have done very well, we're still digging out of an economic collapse that cost us 22 million jobs. Let's keep our eye on the ball. Today's report makes clear. Thank goodness we passed the American Rescue Plan. Help is here, and more help is on the way, and more help is needed. Second, today's report is a rebuttal to loose talk that Americans just don't want to work. I know some employers are having trouble filling jobs, but what this report shows is that there's a much bigger problem, notwithstanding the commentary you might have heard this morning. It is that our economy still has 8 million fewer jobs than when this pandemic started. The data shows that more workers are looking for jobs, and many can't find them. And the American Rescue Plan is just that, a rescue plan. It's to get us back to where we were, but that's not nearly enough. We have to build back better. That's why we need the American Jobs Plan I proposed. As I said, my laser focus is on growing the nation's economy and creating jobs. My laser focus is on vaccinating our nation, and we're making continued progress. My laser focus is on one more thing, making sure working people in this country, hardworking people, are no longer left out in the cold. They're going to get a share of the benefits of a rising economy. It's been a long time since that happened.
Do you believe enhanced unemployment benefits had any effect on diminishing a return to work in some categories?
No, nothing measurable.
I have a big problem with what many people complain about, and that is, are those people sitting down because they're getting $600 a week or however much money they're getting a week, that is keeping them home and preventing them from looking for a job? The truth of the matter is, that could be a partial reason that somebody does not immediately go out and look for a job. Is that a wrong thing? Is that a bad thing? How many people complain about the CEO making 350 times what the average employee makes? How many people complain that there are a lot of these people who stayed home and were able to get paid as all these priority workers go out there and work? How many people have been working for a salary not commensurate with what they're doing for work? I mean, for a long time, the average American worker, that minimum wage worker, that other worker, they have not been benefiting from the spoils of their labor. their employer, their stockbrokers, the investors in the companies that they work for that paid them menial wages. They were taking advantage of them. So, excuse me, if I don't feel sorry for the employers who cannot find employees at $7 an hour, or employees at $10 an hour, or employees at $12 an hour, because the government is giving unemployment insurance of $600, what's equivalent to $15 an hour. Excuse me if I don't feel sorry for those guys, because I tell you what, the minimum wage worker, the American worker, for a long time have been seeing a decline in wages, have been seeing wages that are not commensurate with the work that they do. And by God, if they've gotten a chance, if for once they've gotten a deal where they can exhale for a few months, I say, let them have it. Because the truth of the matter is, for so long, so many American workers have been working their butts off and not being partaken of the spoils. Okay, folks. Let me tell you. First of all, welcome aboard, Courtney, the SLP. Oh, you want my PayPal link? My dear, beautiful Courtney, here you go. There is the PayPal link. Let's see. Yvette, ¿cómo estás, mi amiga favorita? Yvette Avery Herod. I hope you're here to hear that last monologue that I just did with about wages, because that is right up your alley. Those are the things that you are fighting for. Yvette Avery is our union boss here in our room. Michael, wages have been stagnant in this country for over 50 years. Actually, I think it's more like 40, but I'll give you the 50. Here's the deal. Now that we are so far behind, there's so much to catch up. It looks like we're giving these guys a big break. It is like somebody been ripping you off for 50 years, and you try to get back 20 or 30% of it. That 30% looks like a whole bunch, but it's not. It is not. Julie Van Asdel, welcome aboard. These companies calling for ending the extra unemployment money are in for a big disappointment. Many of the service workers are simply leaving the job market. You know what's so funny? People don't understand this, right? Eventually, when your wages start to reach the point that it costs you too much to put your kids in daycare to work, you don't work. And when you don't work, you go on the dole. And I don't want to be rude by saying on the dole. You start taking welfare because that's the only choice that you have. We have a lousy social safety net. We have a lousy set of social services that we need to make into one coalesce into one infrastructure. And that is some of what you see that Biden, why they call it the family's plan. Read the family's plan. Read the jobs plan. Biden is turning out to be the president that I could not even have imagined could come out of him. And again, we have a lot of disagreements. You know, we would love for him to come out and say Medicare for all. But I honestly think the man now thinks Medicare for all is the answer, but he can't use the words. Just look at the things that he is doing and tell me that you don't think this guy wants to come out as the second FDR. Or beyond FDR, because FDR had some limitations within the policies that he wrote, but beyond FDR. But anyway, we are at the halfway mark, so let me go ahead and do my pitch. Folks, please, if you are on YouTube right now, please, click that join button. Become a part of the PDR Posse, run by Bridge MCP, and it's going to grow. I have a PDR Posse page now that I haven't had the time to populate yet, but I'm going to try to get some goodies to put on that page pretty soon. But the PDR Posse is on YouTube, so if you go ahead and click join, you can become a part of our PDR Posse. And, you know, Bridge also designed some cups for the PDR Posse, mugs, I should say, for the PDR Posse that I'm putting on the screen. I think I'm putting it on the screen right now. There we go. PDR Posse. There you go. Anyhow, so if you want the link to get to those cups, I would love for more of you to get the cups and send me some pictures after you get the cup. But here is the link to get the PDR Posse cup. If you don't see the join button, to join the YouTube family, here is the link. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitch, if you're elsewhere, go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, and you can become a part of our PDR Posse, our YouTube subscription. Likewise, if you want to support us via Patreon, Patreon is another way that you can support us. Go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Or, of course, we take the good old standard PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. Look, folks, we cannot do this without you. We cannot do this without you at all. Without you, no somos nada. No podemos hacer lo que estamos tratando de hacer sin ustedes. We cannot do any of this without you guys. Anyhow, you can also, alternatively, get everything that we have through our store, politicsdoneright.com/store. You see the book that you see on the screen right now, or I don't have it on the screen yet, I'll put it on the screen now. It's Worth It. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, one of our books. Another one of our books is the one that I just got through writing, How to Make America Utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. And the third book is As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Hey, it's worth getting all three, I can tell you. As I see it, you learn about the economy in easy-to-understand language. You learn about patents and how I think patents screwed us all, how I go through the different presidents and how we got to where we are. I did it in a very easy-to-understand manner, including with things like Medicare for All and how all of that play into the game. It's worth it. I wrote that one to say, look, if we're going to make substantive changes in this country, we have to find a way to work together. We are all in the same boat, but they have created false divisions between us. The divisions that we have on things like abortion or religion or whatever. If you take a look at how much of our entire lives is spent on those issues compared to on the issues of economics, the issues of that really matter, it's a minute amount. So you have to find a way to be able to communicate across imaginary differences, right? And that's what the It's Worth It is for. And then after we can communicate among the family, our human family, our American human family, then we can make America utopia. We do what's necessary to make America utopia. So, I mean, the three books have a mission, right? As I See It teaches you about the economy, about what happened before, all that kind of stuff. It's Worth It. It's about how do we relate and interact with people, on how arguments we can use with people, discussions, conversations can use with people. And then How to Make America Utopia is about these are the things that we can do. This is how things work. This is what we need to do. And so it's worth getting all three, but consider getting at least one or two or whatever. And by doing that, you know what you're doing? You're really helping put that message out, because that's all I do. That is all I do. I write a lot, both in books, newspapers, blogs, magazines. And you can find all my books at politicsdoneright.com/books. politicsdoneright.com/books. And again, the way I explain my stuff is everyday language for people to understand. I don't try to make believe that I'm an economist that can give you all the economic formulas that these guys like to use, because ultimately, an economy involves the exchange of products by some medium. And ultimately, the things that we want, we are the ones who are living life. We all know what we want. We all know what will make us more happy. And if we start doing those things, we know what policies we should have. Anyway, off of my good old soapbox, please support us however you can. Let's go on to the third video. This one is Stephanie Ruhle pretty much answering the question that a lot of people pretty much are asking about, are those people sitting on their butts just taking advantage? Check this out. Stephanie Ruhle gets it. She gets it. Let's play this and then we'll take it on the other side.
Unemployment rate climbing a little bit to 6.1%. Remember, the expectation was 1 million jobs to be added. That is way off. And this morning, there are now questions as to whether would-be workers are staying home and getting more unemployment benefits instead. Our Stephanie Ruhle spoke with one business owner. Watch.
Has it ever been this hard to hire people?
It's never been this hard to hire. And it's been such a surprise to us because you would think coming out of this pandemic it would be Yahoo, let's go. And it's like the workforce evaporated.
Okay, so Steph, you talked with Heather Boucher, who obviously sits on the President's Council of Economic Advisors. She pushed back on the idea that this job slowdown has anything to do with people, collecting those unemployment benefits, being a little bit hesitant to go back to work. As we just heard, business owners are telling you something very different. So what's the deal?
I hear you, sister. Heather Boucher pushed back on it. The labor secretary pushed back on it last week. I've had four interviews with the White House in the last 4 weeks, and they're completely not acknowledging this issue. However, you're going to find businesses across the country, especially in the service industry, restaurants, saying they cannot bring workers back. They can't bring them back for a number of reasons. Some people have health concerns. Some people have left the service industry. They've gone to other industries like working in a warehouse where they get paid $16 an hour and health care, which the restaurant industry in large part doesn't. They may want to consider paying more. But also, people are getting paid roughly $15 an hour with that expanded unemployment kicker. So you hear more and more. This morning, there's a business advocacy group out there saying we need to end that $300 bonus because we need to get people not staying home and making more money. They should go back to work. But here's another way to look at it, Hallie. People shouldn't, I agree, make more money on unemployment, but this could be a call to action to actually go through with the Democrats' plan and raise the federal minimum wage. When they came up with expanded unemployment, the numbers, they didn't come up with it out of thin air. They figured out what do people need to support themselves. So now that we look at getting people back into the workforce, if there are millions of jobs that don't pay a living wage, this could be the opportunity to either force a federal minimum wage hike, or you're actually seeing it happen naturally. One way to get people back to work, pay them more. Let me make one more point. It was the Kentucky Derby. They couldn't hire work. They couldn't find people to work at Churchill Downs. In the state of Kentucky, the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. You know what it costs to buy a cocktail, a mint julep at the Kentucky Derby? $15. Should people make half a drink, a third of a drink after taxes for an hour's worth of work? This is an opportunity to look at labor in this country.
I mean, just think about that last statement about the Kentucky Derby. A cocktail, $15. The person serving that cocktail makes $7.25. They have to work over 2 hours to be able to afford that cocktail. But that company who is selling that cocktail is reaping the benefits of huge profits. But the $7.25 worker, they want to work like slaves. Think about this, people. This pandemic, like I said several months ago, we ought to make use of it as being transformational. We had a screwed up economy before this pandemic. We can make sure that in recovering from this pandemic, we don't rebuild the crap that we had before. And it's great that you have people sitting down watching TV making $15 an hour, not because not working is a good thing, not because sloughing off is a good thing, but we hold them back until those employers pay these people a living wage. They have been robbed for decades. So to get a break, to be on easy street for a few months, that's well deserved, because how much have they given to our society? And for those who didn't get the opportunity to get that benefit, that is why when they're given stipends, etc., we generally say it should be across the board so that nobody feels left out. But I tell you what, you employers, stop complaining about there are not enough workers and begging the government to take the money away from them. The government should say, okay, we'll take that money away from them, and we'll also take away all those tax credits that we've given to businesses, all those tax breaks that we've given to government. you know what? The unemployment report was much less than stellar. There's a lot more work to do. We have to ensure that people can have care for their kids so that they can go back to work and much more. But folks, don't dare buy the narrative that somehow we are paying people to slough off. We are paying people to make this a better economy in the long run. And employers, pay up. If you can't afford to pay up, you don't have a business. And that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. We have to ask people to do their part. We have to respect people's times. We have to respect people's value. We have to respect people's value. You know, I mean, when I go to a restaurant and I see how hard a waiter is or waitress is working, and I know a lot of people don't give tips. A lot of people don't understand that tips, how important tips are, right? I get it. I'll be honest with you. Before I came to the United States and became a pizza deliverer, pizza maker, pizza server while I was in college, I didn't really see the value of tips. I just thought that, hey, they're getting a salary. I just need to pay for the food. And somehow tips were a giveaway. And I was young. I was only 17 years old back in Panama. The few times that I went to restaurants. In Panama, we didn't go to a lot of restaurants. We cooked. And I remember when I started working how important tips were to get by. But the thing about it is, in restaurants, we should get away from these things called tips, right? Give the person what they're working for. And people say, well, tips allow the workers to give better. So no, you have rules in that as a way of doing business that tells that person how they should treat the customer and pay them what they're due. They work hard, very hard. I wrote a letter, responded to a friend of mine. We were talking about other issues, but it could as easily reflect to what we're talking about with employees. It's not hard to be empathetic to understand how hard people work. And also, it's not hard to understand the psyche of people who somehow, from the time they were birthed, to believe that that person that has all that money, there is something inherently better, that person is inherently better than you are. It is something that by design we teach. We always say equality and all that kind of stuff, right? But we don't really ever want that to be so, or many people don't want that to be, or rather, the plutocracy doesn't want that to be so. Because when you realize that truity, what happens then is if we're all equal, we should all have equal access to success. And as I stated in my book, How to Make America Utopia, the belief that we live in a meritocracy is a myth. You know, and I can just go to any church. You go to any church where there are good choirs, and you hear some people that can blow their horns. They can sing like no other. And they'll never get a record contract because they weren't chosen. And then you hear some yahoos on the radio who can barely hold a tune. They were chosen. Don't ever believe that we are just like we're a meritocracy and you go to college and automatically everything is all right. Ask how many starving lawyers you have out there. Ask how many doctors you have out there running around trying to make $1. But we don't talk about those. We don't talk about how many folks have to be chosen because in a capitalist society, we want to have an oversupply so that we can choose and choose and choose from that oversupply. And by having that oversupply, we don't have to pay anybody's worth. And those who are controlling that oversupply, even though they do very little, are the ones who make the most. Hey, folks, I was just looking at my YouTube membership. My cheap YouTube membership, it's at 241 people. I wanted on my first quarter to be at 250. Can I get 9 people to go ahead and click that join button? It's like a cup of coffee for politics done right. Yours truly, cup of coffee for politics. I need 9 more to get to 250. 9 more to get to 250 join members on politics done right. So why don't Why don't 9 people click the join button and say, hey, I'm going to really support Egberto and Politics Done Right on YouTube right now? Because that magical number 250 is going to look pretty nice. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get 250 new members per quarter so that at the end of the year, I am close to 1,000. Actually, we need 1,000 members on YouTube, 1,000 members on Patreon. We're so far away on Patreon, it ain't funny. It's difficult. But people tell me that the Patreon interface, they don't, sometimes it's kludgy, and the youngsters do it well. The older folks not so well. But anyhow, so why don't you go ahead and click that join button and become a part of our PDR posse, part of what we're doing here. That would be very helpful. I just need 9 of you to do it today. 9 of you to do it today. Please, please, please. Anyhow, folks, let me go back to, before I play the last video, let me see what else you guys are saying here. All right, Michael Renner says, Egberto, 50 years of stagnant wages. I missed it. Okay, I imagine you'll listen to it later, Yvette. Let's see. Egberto Biden has been talking like a progressive the whole time. He's been in office. I'm waiting on all the good talk to turn into action. I'm keeping an eye out for accountability, and you should. All of us should be keeping an eye out for accountability on all of our politicians. All of us should be doing just that. So thank you. Bridge MCP, happy Friday, sweets. Okay, let's see what else here. Jessica Taylor said, I believe Biden has a genuine heart to help the people, but he's avoiding the handcuff of the GOP as Mitch had promised. Jessica, I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's why I cop to being wrong, because I think I prefer Bernie's outward policy. Bernie wants to do this, this, and that. That's what I want. But would he have been able to do it with the same gravitas as, not that we think he shouldn't have it, as Biden is doing it sort of in a I know how to get this done kind of a way? I don't know. I think I cop to being wrong. I don't mind copping to being wrong. Maybe Biden was the right. Well, Biden so far is turning out from a progressive point of view to be the right person. And a lot of my lefties get mad anytime I say that. But I've got to call it the way I see it. If he messes up, I'll call that out as well. But I think so far so good. Bridge MCP, why is most of the Western world becoming conspiracy nuts? Because their leaders need them to be conspiracy nuts because they think they're losing their status. And by keeping us fighting among each other with stupidity, they can continue to reign. That's what it's all about, Bridge MCP. Paul Fleming, that's not to me. Let's see. Michael Renner, at the current rate of vaccination, I don't expect the economy to fully reopen for another month. And yes, we need more good jobs with living wages. Yeah, and look, when we say good jobs, a person serving you food is a good job. We decide in this society to somehow peg that as not necessarily so. We have to start looking at employment for what it really is, serving other people. And it's hard to get there because we have been so programmed. I'm an engineer. I'll be very frank. When I got my degree as an engineer and all that kind of stuff, you kind of get a chip on your shoulder. You really, really do. Because supposedly, But when you start looking at things the right way, the way you should see, it's amazing how inconsequential. I tell you what, once I remember when my car broke down and I couldn't fix it, and some guy was able to just, I'm like, guys, who's worth more? With this guy was nothing. I couldn't move. We have to start learning that everybody have their niche, and we have to do their niche. Yes, a doctor takes 8 years to put together. They deserve getting a premium for having gone through that extensive study. Most people can be trained in a day to work at a McDonald's, but they still deserve to have a minimum, a livable wage. They're working. It makes society. Breach, my sister who manages a large corp for East Coast complains people won't come back. Even liberals, I simply said, give them a raise. I love that. Give them a raise. You're absolutely right, Breach. Let's see what else. Courtney, the SLP. Pay people, period. Exactly right, Courtney. Eric Hayes, not all employers suck. No, nobody said that. I was a real supporter of Starbucks for a long time because Starbucks try to give their people opportunities to go to school. They gave their people opportunities to good health care, all that sort of stuff. And a lot of the employees pulled me aside and said, "Yeah, it's a good employer, absolutely so." And I've written kudos about them. There are a few things that have started to change because of stockholders, of course. So you knock them for that. Okay, let's see. Robinette needs to push the $15 federal minimum wage. Republicans have made it clear they aren't going to work on any policy. They are number one obstruction. Absolutely, you should always tip. Yes. Egberto, after the show, please do a search for history of tipping. Will do. Will do. The tipping system is a relic of racism as well. Didn't know that. Didn't know that. You see why I love this program? I learn a lot too, right? Absolutely. I didn't know. I've got to go look up about tipping. After the discussion, let's see. After any discussion, if we decided the Europeans must have a way to greet each other when they meet. Huh? You have to explain that to me. Tipping or giving the male carrot Christmas money is not wrong. Having to supplement their wages is. Exactly. That's the magic, Breach. That's the magic. It shouldn't be supplementing the wages. It should be for like an extra thing. Oh, you went above and beyond. Thank you. Okay, not everyone is rich as you preach. Nah, did I say everyone is rich? I don't think so. In fact, the mom and pop stores, I treat as like me. I got a mom and pop, right? I got a small media company that I depend on contributions from those who like the show. A big TV station does the same thing, but they don't. They simply tell an advertiser, "You got to pay me this to advertise," and that's what they do. In my case, I say, if you like what I'm doing, could you contribute to keep it alive? Hey, Egberto, why are only 3 of your books in your store? I really don't want to give Amazon money that I can give directly to you. Julie, I'm going to put the other books in the store right now. The reason you don't have the latest book in the store is I just haven't put that all together. And Brewski is also doing some final edits on the book. The e-book is already ready to go. I have a copy of the hard stuff ready, but I still want to do a little thing here and there. Let's see. Deborah John replying to, that's a conversation. Eric Hayes, yes, if the policy does not work as planned, power will switch. Bridge, absolutely, and it should. It should. It should. I think I agree with you, Eric. It should, but you have to let the policy work. How about the possibility of new governor of California? California won't get a new governor. It's just a waste of money. Starbucks name change to $5. Stop it. Minimum wage should be at least $22 an hour. If we count productivity and inflation, that's what it should be. Mom and pop can't pay like the big ones, so how do you balance wages and other costs? Let me qualify something here. Because you work for a mom and pop store, does that mean that you should make less? I don't know what inherently makes a big company more able to pay than a small company. Let's give an example. If I have a bakery, and I decide to make that bakery, and that bakery clears $1 million a year. If I decided that I want to make $500,000, that means I'm saying all the other expenses have to come out to $500,000. But here's the thing: if I have a bakery, many times you find that if you have a bakery and you hire a baker, you hire the person at the register, and then there's you, and let's say another person. If you take such a bulk of the money, where that is really a collaborative effort to bake the bread and sell, just because you own the bakery, and now note I'm talking about after expenses, after you paid all the fixed costs being rents, electricity, all these costs, and then of the profit of the gross profit that's left. And I'm calling gross profit, I'm not including, even though the employment wages shouldn't be taken out of gross profit, for a mom and pop store, I'm not going to take it out yet. Gross profits. You have you and your employees. If you decide in a small bakery that you want, and you have 4 people, and you want to keep half of the gross profit and then get rid of the rest, I would look at you and tell you you're crazy. Because here you are saying, I am taking a piece of everybody's action that I could not live without. I could not have this bakery without. I can say, I will make more than these guys because I own it all. I'm taking that risk. And if something else happens, I am under, I'm under. But to say that I'm going to take that huge profit, which is what happened in a lot of mom and pop stores. A lot of mom and pop stores pay as little as they can. They don't give any health insurance or anything because they want to make a lot of money out of that one store. That is no different than the corporation when you think about it. When I put that onto myself and what I do here at Willie's Media, why I work 16 hours, I know I don't have enough contributions right now that I can pay somebody a fair wage. In fact, I can't even pay myself a fair wage right now. It is unfair for somebody doing so much to somehow then force the government to say, I don't want you to tell me that I have to give that person a living wage because I want more. It's a lot deeper than that. We have to understand the system. Now, if we did things like isolate healthcare from employment, and we had a good social safety net, mom and pop stores would do just as well, if not better, than corporations, because there is that insularity that they can work with. So folks, please support all those who are pushing for a minimum wage, and including any small business that you see complaining about that. Explain this to them as well. They need not be like corporations as well. Anyhow, we need to get out of here. So, by the way, Breach, you guys are helping me a lot. You guys are helping me quite a bit. But if there's anything that anybody wants to volunteer to do and say, hey, I want to do X, Y, Z, I'll say go for it. Do it. Please. Anyway, my name is Egbert. Oh, beforehand, let me just do my last thing again. Please, if you are on YouTube, please push that join button and become a member. Likewise, if you don't want to become a member on YouTube by clicking the join button, please go ahead and join us through Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us as well via PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. And you can always get one of our many books at politicsdoneright.com/books, politicsdoneright.com/books. Folks, thank you so kindly for spending the time with me. I know you don't have to. The mere fact that you're here, thank you very much. Love you all. Gotta go. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.